Hello students, welcome to lecture 8 of PCS Booster Course. So topic for today's discussion is from general science section. There is a disease which will be focusing in this particular lecture. So there is a positive news from Nepal side. Nepal has been declared free of rubella as a public health problem as of August 18, 2025. So in this lecture, our main focus would be on covering rubella as a theme. We will try to compare it with the normal measles part and also what are the vaccines available or not, how this disease spreads, what part it affects, and what exactly is the categorization of the disease. Because typically in state services examination, whenever some disease is in news, the main focus is on the causative agent, if there is any vector, the system affected, the treatment and vaccination part. So basically, if you have covered these dimensions, more or less you would be on safer side. Another part of question revolves around the vaccination program or the government initiatives to tackle that menace. So this is a positive spot, even though it's not directly linked to India, but nevertheless, this topic has dominated headlines in last 4 or 5 years. Even developed nations continue to suffer from this particular anomaly. So without wasting any time, first of all, let's decode why we are covering it in current section, because WHO has declared Nepal officially free from this, and the significance of this fact is Nepal is the first ever country in WHO's Southeast Asia region to achieve this milestone. So basically, their healthcare system has achieved remarkable milestone, even though it's a small country, but still a significant one. Now, coming to what are the facts we need to mug up from general science section. So, first and foremost is that the rubella is commonly referred as the German measles because this disease was first discovered in Germany, even though it's not some endemic disease which will affect only German people. So make sure you are not carried away by the term German measles. We already have similar diseases like Japanese encephalitis, and some of the viruses like Nipah, Ebola also carry their name based on their source of origin. So initially there used to be a trend, but since COVID, we have seen that WHO have shed this theme and adopted more scientific names. So basically, first and foremost, as you could see, it's a highly contagious viral disease. So make sure you don't get confused in statements where they are linking German measles or rubella as bacterial, fungal, or protozoan disease. It's a viral. Contagious means it has high risk of transmission from one person to another. Basically, children and pregnant female are the main groups which get affected by this particular disease. A mode of transmission is straightforward, it's droplet infection, but particularly a child who sneezes or coughs, another children who is in vicinity, if it accidentally ingests or inherits the particular viral load, he is likely to get affected. So basically the isolation here once again holds practice. So as you could see on your screen, the respiratory droplets, cough and sneezing are the main culprit. Now, particularly this disease, why it was differentiated from normal measles is that it carries additional risk and high risk rate during pregnancy time. Lot of time there has been reports when a female, pregnant female gets infected with rubella virus. There is a possibility of a miscarriage. Even if there is not a miscarriage, the child may suffer from some congenital rubella syndrome. This is a broad set of syndrome in which we have seen peculiar symptoms like at times are the heart defects, at times child are born blind, or there is other developmental anomaly which impairs the full, you could say, development potential of a child. So basically it's a quite a serious disorder which needs to be eliminated on priority, because we have seen that any disease which can be prevented by vaccination should be targeted. Even in India, we have seen the remarkable success story of polio via Sabin and Salk vaccine. Now coming to the symptoms part, the symptoms we in few lectures back we were discussing rabies as a disease. There we had emphasized that only specific symptom which is not too common in other diseases needs to be mugged up. Like in case of rabies, we had that hydro and aerophobia. In case of measles, German measles or you call rubella, there are no pinpoint specific features. Nevertheless, the broad theme should be you should be clear in mind. So whenever some viral or any antigen enters the body, there is a mild fever. Now the peculiar theme is the rashes which start appearing on face and then spread across the body. In the first image you could see there is a rash which is starting from hairline and descending at the body part. So basically the rash is what distinguishes measles, German measles, and you could say the other diseases like the chicken pox or smallpox. And other features are eventually the lymph nodes get involved, they get swollen. There is a severe joint pain, which we also see in some other viral diseases like dengue, chikungunya. There is inflammation of conjunctiva, which is referred as conjunctivitis, and there is general malaise. Malaise is feeling of uncomfort or discomfort. You are not feeling well from inside. So you can say that it's a particular viral disease which causes extensive rash and person is now then confined to home and is isolated. So once again, re-emphasizing the histopathology part, just in case you are scrolling through this particular video. So congenital rubella syndrome, which we just mentioned a slide before, you could see a child when mother gets infected, this viral will pass through placenta and enter the newborn fetus, and it will cause the cataract. Cataract is an eye disorder, but which is one of the leading cause of blindness. So there is a possibility the child may be born blind. Then there could be some congenital heart defects, there could be breathing problems, your life could be cut short. It could affect your intellectual disability as well. Persons born with this rubella infection at times have lower IQ than the common population, and also the liver, spleen, which are associated with pathophysiology function, also get affected. The other symptoms we have just highlighted, the in adult case or the children case, it will be fall fever, lymphadenopathy, and rash. And basically the classification of virus, because we know viruses are unique entity, they are connecting link between living and non-living. So basically you have to understand that this is particular virus which we call the toga viridi is a RNA virus, and RNA viruses are described as the riboviruses. So typically virus could either be a DNA virus or RNA virus. So basically majority of viruses which we are of late covering in our current affairs section belong to ribovirus category, which have single stranded RNA as their genetic material. So make sure this is a technical part. If you could mug up, since it's a disease in news, it would be great. Even if you not able to decode in PCS, there is no negative marking, you could always make an educated guess. Now coming to the treatment part, most of the viral cases don't have a standard treatment. Basically, we only cater to symptomatic treatment where the inflammation, pain, swelling, whatever the symptoms are, we try to ease the life by providing him the comfort part. So basically here there is no specific antiviral treatment as of now. We will only give supportive palliative care in which you will advise person to rest at home, have sufficient water and hydration through fluids, and since there is a mild fever, person is feeling malaise, it's always better to give antipyretic to lower the temperature. So prevention is the main weapon in fight against the rubella virus, and the most popular vaccine which has made a significant impact in healthcare continues to be MMR. Now MMR is a triple antigen vaccine where measles, mumps, and rubella are targeted. These three are viral diseases. In measles, once again, there is a high fever and rash. In mumps, there is inflammation of parotid gland just below there is a heavy swelling below you could say the ear. and rubella we are currently discussing, which is German measles. So in this case, a lot of time examiner tend to frame a question, MMR provides vaccination against, they will substitute M with meningitis, with R they might include the rabies which we discussed. So make sure you are clear with, because already DPT vaccine has been asked in multiple examination. In DPT, the protection is against diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus. Now, the final part, we need to be clear how these two diseases, even though they carry almost similar name, measles, German measles, are distinguishable, why they are treated as separate diseases. First and foremost, the causative agent in both the diseases is separate one. So in German measles, it's the rubella virus, whereas in case of normal measles, it is rubeola virus. So basically, there are two distinct entities which are causing this disease. Coming to the rash part, even though such micro questions are never asked in, you could say, state or civil service examination, but still for point of differentiation, we are taking the second difference. The rash is a most distinguishable feature in these two particular diseases. So in case of German measles, the color is light pink and it spreads from face and almost spreads to the rest of the body. Whereas in case of measles, it's quite distinct, almost you could say tomato red, it's bright red rash and it sprays once again from hairline to rest of the body. Other symptoms more or less have a similarity, just as we covered. There will be a fever of mild grade, there will be lymph nodes which will be swollen, and there will be excruciating pain in your joints. In case of measles, the fever always remains high. Like you can compare, in case of measles, it will be 100 to 101, whereas in case of German measles, it is 100 to 101. Whereas in case of measles, it's almost 104. It's quite alarmingly high. And there would be respiratory system would get compromised, so there will be coughing, eyes would be bright red. So that's another peculiar feature. And Koplik spots are the main sign from which the normal measles is discussed. Since it's only a value addition lecture, we are not going into too much intricacies of symptoms of measles, because you might tend to get confused between the two diseases. Now, severity in German measles is mild in children, but in pregnancy, since the disorder of congenital rubella syndrome is associated, which could have problems in, you could say, eyesight or heart or other organs. So that's why rubella at times is considered more dangerous, especially during pregnant females. Measles is severe when the outbreak is there and it causes respiratory encephalitis, but rarely it can cause the damage as in case of the German measles. Now, contagious period, the period during which the infection is prevalent, is quite strict, is prolonged during rubella. It is 7 days before and after the rash. Even though person has healed from the rash, and person should not be too eager to immediately resume to work, because he might be a carrier of disease. So contagious part of German measles is more severe as compared to measles. In measles, the window is comparatively shrink to 4 days. 4 days before and after the rash cycle, the person is a carrier of disease. So basically, more or less, we can say prevention is the best cure in such diseases. And more or less, these diseases have been brought considerably down. If you could recollect your biology's first lecture, we have seen that there used to be a disease called smallpox, which was once again viral in origin, and Edward Jenner created a life-saving vaccine, and through which we were not only able to eliminate that particular disease from west, or you could say developed world, but also from rest of the world. So it was the first disease which was eradicated from the world. While the current topic in which we are glorifying the role of Nepal, you need to understand we have just used the word eliminated. So eliminated is a temporary phase. Typically, WHO waits for 3 to 4 years before declaring officially a country free from particular disease. But nevertheless, this is a major milestone for Southeast Asian countries and sets the template for other countries to emulate as well. So hopefully one day we might see India also being declared free of such viral diseases which continue to affect large section of population. Even though our immunization program is quite strong, as part of mission Indradhanush, We cater mainly to the measles part as well as the, you could say, German measles, since the cases of mumps are quite less. So in India, only MR vaccine is advocated. So make sure if there is a question, MR vaccine is covering which of the following diseases, your answer should be measles and German measles. Yeah. So I hope this with this lecture you will able to revise the viral diseases which were making headlines, but for a change, for a positive reason. So we'll be back soon with the next lecture in the series. Stay tuned for more updates on Civil Service Gurukul. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Best of luck to all PCS aspirants.